all right. We are back at the Grit Won't Quit podcast studio. I am in beautiful Belmont, New Jersey today, and it's beautiful out, which makes me happier. And we have a virtual podcast. We have Maya from Map My Milk. How are you today? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm great, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, let's kind of just dive right into it. You're not an entrepreneur by trade, but you are now an entrepreneur the last 8 months, and now you're going to be an entrepreneur the rest of your life.
Yes. Yes, I'm an occupational therapist by trade. I'm a mom, and I built this tool, which is a tech platform for new parents struggling with a specific issue. I built it it's been live for 10 months now, launched. And yeah, I've gone into this knowing nothing about business, but figuring it out as I go and enjoying the ride. Since then, people have been telling me you are a business person, you are an entrepreneur, and you're going to be doing more than this. So
You
it's
just
nice to
started a
be
little late
validated.
in life with another
Yes,
career before it, right? This is like your second act now.
yes,
Um, so like I run a tech company, and what you've told me before we started chatting on camera is very impressive. So so tell your story about in a little more detail about kind of how you got into it, why you got into it, what you were trying to solve, and then kind of what that's morphed into on the back end of the coding side of and jumping into AI and people you're helping, and just kind of dig right into it.
yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So what I went through with both of my kids is something called it's basically infant food allergies, where some up to 13% of babies go through this where they are reacting to something that their mother is eating. It's coming through the breast milk, just to break it down, basically. And it presents itself as like colic, blood in the stool, mucus, it's like a pain, a sick baby, basically. There were no good tools for a mother to track what she was eating and track the symptoms to find those patterns. Most moms I've talked to on my journey and what I went through was just sort of trying to track it in my notes app of all the food, all the symptoms, and then trying to manually go through multiple calendar days and try to see a pattern, which is impossible. And if you go to a doctor with these symptoms, by the way, they tell you to food journal, but there were no good tools for food journaling. So that's what I went through with both of my kids. My youngest is now 15 months old, but when she was about 4 months old, I was struggling with this. And that's when I started thinking about other options and solutions for what I was personally going through, what I was struggling with, really. So it was a personal sort of problem. No sort of options on the market. So I basically noticed a gap in the market, but before I was even thinking about like the market per se, I was literally just thinking, what can I build for myself to track everything, find the patterns, and talk to a doctor about. And I was not in a place to invest in a developer, so I sort of dove right into AI coding tools, like knowing nothing about it. Just it was like an exploration of like, let's see what happens. I was able to build sort of an MVP in about 6 weeks, honestly. And I was working. So that was during nap times, after bedtime. I was doing this late into the night. And I got it. I just put it out there. I got beta testers. There's tons of like Facebook groups of moms struggling with this issue. And I
Hmm.
just blasted it out there like, hey, I'm building this. It's helping me. I think it can help more of you. And the reaction was tremendous. I mean, moms still to this day are reaching out like, I've been struggling. I've been looking for this. I'm so glad I found your app. Um, yeah, it's the AI coding. This wouldn't exist without AI coding tools. I don't know if that's fortunately or unfortunately, that's just the
A little bit
situation.
of both. I mean, I think it's great that you're able to fill that gap, and again, it would never have happened without it. So there is benefit there. So now you start digging into these AI tools, and you're an occupational therapist, as you said earlier. So you just start going and
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Yes, yes. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of learning as you go. It's a lot of mistakes in the beginning, honestly, and then working your way through them, and they're mistakes that you don't make again. I did hire a developer before launch to sort of validate everything, audit it for security risks, and make sure that it was, that everything was set up the way it was meant to. As we know now, that like AI is a great tool, but it can make mistakes. You can't rely on it from, front end to back end for everything. I believe you need a human touch, human eyes on everything before you're putting it out there. And so while I couldn't have a developer completely make the whole thing from scratch, it was nice to have someone come in and just double audit everything.
Hmm. Well, you've learned a lot of the buzzwords. You said MVP already. You said front end and back end. Those are words that most people that aren't in the business don't know. So that's funny that you're now talking the lingo. So I
Yeah.
have a feeling you're going to stay in this world. So now you beta test it. You,
Mhm.
you go on Facebook. You get these moms. Everybody's people, other people that are having the similar issues you are. Now, have you through this tracking, have your issues gone away? Have you kind of found?
Yeah, great question. So unfortunately, I needed to sort of figure it out before I finished developing the
Got it.
product.
Okay.
I ended up eliminating about 10 foods from my diet. And that's what most moms are looking at until they find my app. They are eliminating dairy because that's the number one, the most common allergen. And that's what their doctors tell them. Just cut out dairy and everything will resolve. But a lot of moms cut out dairy and it's not it. And so then they're going on this hunt of eliminating random things. And that is what I had to do ultimately. You cut everything out and then you introduce them back one by one. I had to go through that before my tool was finished and ready to go. So
Hmm.
I was not able to personally get full benefit out of it, but I have continued to use it in my journey because she ended up, she's 15 months, she eats food now, but she's actually has real food allergies. And I have been able to use my tech platform to help figure out when are her hives coming up because it's not always so obvious. Obviously, we're working with an allergist, pediatric GI, but I have been able to use my app in other ways, which is nice.
And you're finding success in it?
Yeah, absolutely. It helped me figure out Sesame actually. And when I actually brought all my data from the app to my allergist, she was very impressed actually. She was like, "Whoa, this is great. You're so organized." Because most families are coming into an appointment like that with pictures throughout just
Yeah.
chaotic information. And that's ultimately the point of all this is just to collect and organize your data to help you have more meaningful conversations with your doctors.
Awesome. So now, so some of the people that are using the app, tell me about
Yeah, so it's mostly moms.
it. Hmm.
I have not heard yet of any like dads using it for the mom. That could happen as well. Again, it's mainly for breastfeeding families, but
Hmm.
we have a starting solids tracking option as well. So if a family's coming in and they're exploring food sensitivities beyond just the transfer of breast milk, so they're just curious, like my baby is eating real food and I think she's getting an upset stomach and I can't tell what's causing it. So families can use it from starting solids. Even if the baby's older than one, not drinking breast milk, they can still use it. But it's mainly for families and breastfeeding mothers.
Awesome. And now, now that you have this out and you're helping 1,000 families, is there going to be a phase two of this? Is there other things that you want to track? Is there other um, work you'd like to do to help you know now that you have a tech platform?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and it's something that people keep asking me, and that I'm like coming up on this sort of interesting dilemma as a clinician, as an occupational therapist. Like, I'm not really focused on revenue as much as another type of entrepreneur would be. Like, I am very like problem focused, and so I know there is a churn with my app. People need it only for like 1 to 3 months, and that's fine, right? But I know another entrepreneur might be thinking, like, well, what else can we add to convert more people or to keep them using the app longer? I'm, there could be space for that down the road, but for right now, like this was built to solve a really niche but a really important problem, and it's doing that well. So right now, I'm focused on getting it into the App Store. It's a web app right now, so that's like
Hmm.
my main goal right now. I'm constantly improving the UI. I'm adding features to make the process more smooth, but I'm not necessarily setting my sights down the road of like what else can I add to get more users. I really want to make sure that the users who are using it are getting like a super premium, effective, efficient experience, basically.
That's fantastic. And the best part is you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're doing it for the reasons to really better the betterment of your clients, your users, yourself, versus you're not driven by revenue, which a lot, and again, a lot of times, especially something like this, there's investors behind it, and there's other people that you're not always answering the right questions. You're answering the questions for the people that are the stakeholders.
Yeah, I think it's like, people ask me like, "Oh, are you going to try to raise money and make this bigger?" And I'm really not. Like I'm bootstrapping it and I'm happy to be bootstrapping it. And that's because that gives me that flexibility to sort of uh solve the problem as I see fit, and to be able to answer my own sort of solve the problem as I'd like to. And like you
Hmm.
just said, when there are investors involved, it's it can get murky ethically sometimes. And again, that comes back to like as a clinician, like I really am guided by the patient, in this case, the user who's coming with a health problem that I want to be able to solve gracefully.
Hmm. And I think that that's great. You know, because you're doing it for all the right reasons. You're not just doing. You're not driven by the dollar. You're driven by your own. Again, I think you have to. The integrity has to stay there. As you grow, because it's going to be. It's going to be tempting. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. And
It's a
I
game
just
changer
joined.
when other money
Yeah.
comes into play, and it
Yeah.
changes. But on the same side is, I think, as you look at it, like what can be done to keep it real.
Yes. And I think, I just joined Substack and I wrote an article about this, that it's a fine line though, because you can't own like if I want it to be a sustainable business and if I want it to grow and if I want to reach more families, I do have to think about profit and revenue. So it's interesting as a non this is this sort of dilemma that I'm facing as a non-business person, as someone who didn't found a startup to found a startup, but who founded it to solve a problem. I am at this crossroads of like, well, I do need to think about revenue, but also that's not necessarily my first thought. So it's just, yeah, it's interesting.
Now, are you charging for the app?
Yeah, so it's a 14-day free trial. They get full access to all the premium features, and then at the end of the 14 days, they can choose to subscribe. It's $7.99 a month, or there's like a lifetime access, and keep all those features, or they can not pay and just downgrade basically to a more basic experience. They still get, it's important for me for there to be a free option always for families who want to be able to track, and maybe they're not going to get all the bells and whistles, but they're still going to be able to get the basic functionality out of it.
And without getting too deep, what percentage of your clientele are paid versus free?
So right now our conversion rate is like about 7%, which is, pretty, from what I'm reading, like average for an app at this
Hmm.
size. It's something I'm looking at and always looking at like where is that drop off coming from. Yeah, it's tricky. Like my users are postpartum, they're tired, they're sleep deprived, they have a ton of stuff going on and things fall through the cracks. And that's okay. Like again, like that's not as long as it's helping people, which it is. Like I've just the testimonial that I get is feels so incredible to me and sort of validates like why I went on this journey of building it
Hmm.
is my number one. Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you created like a community page or something that to keep everybody kind of talking to each other?
I want to. I don't. So I have Instagram and Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I love engaging with people on those platforms. I have played around with like, yeah, creating a group of some sort, and it's on my list, but I haven't done it yet. I
I
think it
think
would
that'd
be,
be great though, because I
yeah.
think that'll give you a lot of interaction. And again, get people talking about it.
Yeah. No, I like that idea. Thank you. Yeah.
And I think it's pretty, ultimately, I mean, it's not, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy. It's not that hard in the scheme because you already have users that already have a login that are already using your software. So, connecting it to and then there's probably questions that other people have that, are similar questions.
Oh yes. Oh yes. These moms have questions. Like, yes. If you meet any new mom or dad, they are Googling 100 million times a day about this issue and about every other issue. So I think you're right on the money in terms of like creating a space to bring these people together and
Yeah,
where they,
you're like your own GPT at that point because
yes, yeah.
you're going to be getting all this information that you could curate and kind of put out there. But I think that would be cool for you guys to
I love it.
look at that in the future and again as time permits, as dollars permit and everything like that. But so like again during this time, like when you think about this podcast, it's called Grit Won't Quit. So during this time, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows.
No, no. It's I know people think of AI as like, yeah, click one and done. And the thing is, when you're looking at, you're a tech guy, so you know it's not just about designing it. I mean, there's so much in terms of getting it set up with, the database and the RLS policies and, you know, a CRM, to be honest, I didn't even know what those letters meant in the beginning. And I didn't even implement one for the first like 8 months. Like I just implemented one.
Uh-huh.
So it's just been again this like trial and error. Luckily, the errors are more just, it's the errors, nothing terrible has gone on. It's just more of like realizing that it's not being used to its fullest potential. So maybe like I built a feature that people aren't finding on their own, and that's a UI issue. So like why
Hmm.
aren't they discovering that, oh, like so in the feed survey, I have a survey and people fill it out and they're like, I wish it did this. And I'm like, it does do that. They don't know that they can't find that feature. So it's errors like that, which and yeah, on the back end, getting everything set up, just things going wrong. And, there's been a bunch of, in the meantime, because of AI coding, there's been a bunch of pop-ups of other apps doing the same thing, of course. So that's always going to happen, but especially now when people can develop something in a weekend.
Hmm.
So that's another struggle, right? Like dealing with competition. When I built this, it was the only thing like it. And now I know of at least 3 others who are doing the same thing. One of them just released this week and it's like my exact UI. Like they didn't even try changing it. But just take it with a grain of salt. I'm confident that because I'm a clinician and because I've been working closely with lactation consultants and because I've been through this personally, it's going to be a better product than a random developer who's trying to just make something new. So yeah, it's definitely, and in addition to all of the trial and error, I've also been trying to raise my family and working, 10-hour shifts at a hospital. So it's definitely been a journey, but very fulfilling. Yes, I realized that I love this.
That's awesome. I think that that's great that you love it. It's and that you're able to help so many people. It's not just that you love the tech of it. It's great that you love the tech of it, but then also to be able to support so many young moms and dads during this process. And again, it's frustrating during that time, and it's a hard time. So to be able to start to do that, and again, I think like you said when you went to your doctor, like they were like, "Wow, you're pretty organized." Like that'll make everybody's life easier. And again, I'm sure there's some HIPAA regulations around this, but like down the road, if somebody could walk into their doctor's office and say, rather than the journaling and that it can't be correlated, you could correlate things to say, we did this day, this is when, and looking at it versus just a paper calendar.
Yes, exactly. And that's a big piece of our functionality, actually, is this analysis page, which is running tons of correlations and finding mathematical patterns in the data. And that is, Yeah, part of it. It's a tracking app, but it's also highlighting these patterns and correlations. HIPAA, yeah, like people keep asking me for a provider portal. So that's on the docket, maybe 2027. I don't know, a way for doctors to log in and see, it would be an authentication nightmare. But yeah, that's on the docket. I think that would be great.
You're already thinking about it. And
Yeah.
again, you're now a tech nerd because you're
Yes.
using words like
Yeah.
authentication app, like that's definitely something that we talk about daily.
Mhm.
So you're now in tech, but keep your salary from what you do now. And then ultimately as that's going to become replaced and then you're going to be out on your own doing this.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
I think that's great. And then I bet you as time goes on and as you start talking to those 1,000 users and this community, they're going to give you your next project. Like I know when I first started, I never thought I would do what I do now. But someone said to me, like, hey, could you do this? Can you do that? And, you know, if you say yes, then other people are like, oh, you do that too? And now all of a
Yes.
sudden you're doing it for a lot of people. So I bet you as time goes on, as you guys start to learn more about your users and you start having more conversations with them, you're going to learn a lot more of other things that you're like, oh, I could do that. Oh, yeah, that fits into this. And now all of a sudden you're doing more.
100%. And I've even seen that with the features that I have been able to add. I mean, it's within the same project. And I hear what you're saying about other projects. But yeah, just within, I mean, I am so obsessed at this point about making it perfect that, the minute I get feedback, I'm like, oh yeah, like, can I implement that? Like, I'm like ready to go. And I've been able to add a lot of features that were user requests and
Yeah.
they've been rolled out seamlessly and people are into them. So that's why I always tell people, I'm like, it's really hard to get feedback from users, honestly. That is like one gripe I have with this process is that, which I didn't know, like from the business side of things, it's hard to get feedback, which I guess is a good thing, right? No news is good news. But yeah, I always say please to the moms and in all my emails, like, let me know what's working, let me know what's not, because let's make it better together. And that's what I tell them, like, you are building this with me. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's great because the more that you get from the user, the happier the user is going to be, the better it is for you. Sometimes like it's hard. I get that too. Like when you're like, oh, it has that feature. Like, what are you thinking about? But you got to remember, not every user is so in depth in it like you are, and so it's hard because like they're looking at it when they're tired. They're looking at it on their phone. Even sometimes I laugh. I said to my wife the other day, I said, oh, somebody forgot to attach something to an email, and like somebody replied all and said like, but sometimes when you're on your phone, you don't always see it. Sometimes you need to go to a computer or it's over 10 megs and it doesn't download because you're driving and it's not. So sometimes I think that the user experience is not always 100% because things are there or things they're not looking for them in the right spots. And
Hmm.
but you always want to keep refining it and making it easier so that you have less friction and you have less churn.
Yes, friction. I learned that word early on, and now I'm obsessed with eliminating friction. So.
It's a word that is a little annoying, but the better you are at it, the better that you can handle it, the better it is for everybody. So this was a great conversation. I'm proud of what you're doing. This is great. I think it's awesome, and I think you're going to continue to be an entrepreneur and be a developer.
Thank you so much, Tom. That means a lot coming from you. I appreciate it.
So as we wrap up today, if you could give one piece of advice to a a future entrepreneur, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, it's definitely just to go for it. Like, don't overthink it. Don't wait till the idea is perfect. Don't try to get all your ducks in a line. Like, take a step, just do something because once the ball gets rolling, like, you never know what's going to come out of it. And
I
that's
love
where, like, for me, like, if I just had waited to put in the prompt that very first day, like, who knows? But like, I just put it, like, you never know. Just try something and see what happens.
I love it. And then, um, where do people find you? If they want to find you online, on social, how do they get in touch with you? If they want to talk about your product and what you've built, or if they just want to talk to you about some entrepreneurial advice.
Absolutely. So, my first name is Maya, Maya, and you can email me at Maya at mapmymilk.com. That's MAPMYMILK. And I am happy to talk to anyone about anything, vibe coding, entrepreneurship, motherhood, lactation, all of the above. And then our website is mapmymilk.com. All you need is an email address to get started. No credit card required. You get a 14-day free trial. And we're on Instagram and Facebook under that same name, Map My Milk.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for, coordinating. I know we had to sync up our schedules, but this was a great conversation. I'm glad that we were able to sync them up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. It was awesome to talk to
Thank
you.
you. All right. Have a great day.